Hello and welcome to Tall Tales Brewery. I'm Tony Russo, author of Eastern Shore Beer, The Heady History of Chesapeake Brewing, and I have with me here Jimmy Sharp.
Hello.
He is the head brewer here at Tall Tales, and here's Eric Camper, who can't not poke his head in. See page 182. So what we're doing here today is we're here for my big book launch here in Parsonsburg, Maryland, and we're going to talk to Jimmy about his role in the book and his role in the history of Eastern Shore beer. One of the things I've been talking about a lot is generally speaking, there are two kinds of brewers in the early beer revolution. There are people who needed the work, and there are people who needed the beer. But you're not really fall into those categories because you just needed to keep your wife happy.
Yes, that's very true. I moved up to the Eastern Shore maybe 9 years ago, I think it was 2005, and my wife was already beer snob, and I was a Bud Light, Miller Lite guy. Nothing wrong with that. And she took me to this little place called Dogfish Head, which I had heard of, but I'd never had the beer before. I'd had a Yingling once before, maybe, and so went up, did the tour. Sam was giving the tours back then, had an amazing time. The culture, the history, how he got started, everything. And at the end of the tour, I was given, during the tastings, the honor of having the 120-minute IPA, which was on draft.
It's excellent.
Incredible. And so I went from a Bud Light to, a 19%, quadruple IPA or whatever you call it. And it blew my mind. I mean, it was incredible. I couldn't believe that beer, I had no idea that beer could taste like this. And so, I had a great time. Hang around for an extra hour or so to sober up before we drive home. And on the way home, my wife stops by this little place called Extreme Brewing. She's trying to get rid of me or what?
It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it was before the Laurel store. I mean, it was in the middle of nowhere. So we go in, and she tells me that she's going to buy me home brewing equipment, and I'm going to make beer for her as soon as I move up here. And that was the beginning of where I am now. That's how it all started.
And now, you made a name for yourself as a home brewer. Actually, I met you earlier this year.
That's right.
Last year?
Last year, I believe, yeah.
I met you at Extreme Brewing,
Yep.
and we just got to talk about beer. I was actually working on the book at the time, and then they had a changeover here at Tall Tales, and they decided to go to see. I'm sorry. Okay, he's looking at the book. I'm going to throw up. Just for what it's worth, I got a name wrong in the book, and the guy's looking.
It's okay. It's fine.
Anyway, and so they gave Jimmy a call, and they had him come over and tell the story about how you came. You were ready. You were looking for your own place.
I was Atomic Donkey Brewing was the name of my home brewing operation, as I called it, and I've been wanting to start my own place for a few years. And so I was in the process of doing that. I was working on a business plan with the small business people in downtown Salisbury, and was ready to. I had a space. I was ready to go out and start looking for money. And as I'm doing this, and these numbers are adding up, and I'm talking to the other owners of breweries around here, and they're saying, whatever number you come up with, double that, at least.
Right.
So it was starting to become a bit intimidating, and then I got a call from Jason Hearn, one of the owners.
And that's Hearn with no E.
With no E, yes. And he knew about my home brewing. I'd met him through my old job at the county, and I'd been out here before. And so he called me and asked if I'd be interested in doing an interview, and I said, absolutely, and yes. So dropped everything I was doing, went up and met with him and the other owner, and things went well. Yeah.
Have you been here yet?
No, I started in early April of this year.
You turned the place around right away. You came in and you changed the recipes. Some of the recipes a little bit?
Some of them, yes. Some of them a little bit. I mean, the best sellers, you can't, how beer is. I mean, people have what they like and people have what they don't like. I mean, your tastes are so varied. And so the ones that were selling like crazy, you can't argue with numbers. So, I did very little to those. But say the majority, I started implementing the change slowly, and then became, just some of them now have changed completely. Some of them still, we hold on to some of the original recipe, but for the most part, I'd say the majority of the beers have been changed.
Now, for those of you who can make it and just didn't happen to, you do something that I think, if it's not unique, it's the first time I ever heard of it. You do test batches, but like everybody can come and play at the test.
Oh yeah. We were doing when the weather was warmer. We have a large outdoor patio area. Real nice. We have weddings out there all the time. A nice covered bar, and we do have a 10-gallon Brew Magic system, Stabco, and we roll it out onto the patio on Fridays when it's nice. We have a band playing. We just come up with whatever crazy recipes we feel like doing, and we let that way the people that are here can come up and interact with us, ask us questions, throw hops in, do whatever they'd like to do. And we've had a great response. I mean, people that always wondered how the process went, can come up and see it on a small scale. And then we can take them back into the brewery and show them, that same process, but on the 500-gallon scale.
Right. It's even better. It's more interesting than a tour because it's even more. Not that you don't give tours. And that was the other thing.
Absolutely.
Do you have scheduled tours or?
No, I mean, if we have large groups coming in for the weddings and fundraisers and event, we just like to know if we have 25, 30 people coming.
Right.
But for the most part, unless there's hot liquid transferring around everywhere and we got the chemicals out, you just ask for a tour and we'll have you back.
Yeah, it's crazy. The people go back there. I was standing at the bar the first time I met Ryan, who's one of the managers here. And I was like, I was just looking for Jimmy. He's like, oh, well, he's back there. I'll see if he can take you back. And he just came and now I knew that I knew Jimmy, but he didn't know that. He just knew that I was a guy who was interested in what was going on back there. And he just went and he grabbed the brewery. He's like, you got some time? There's a guy who wants to see the brewery. And they really do that here, which it's awesome. I think it makes people feel like better about close to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think they can see how much me and Eric love what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it really shows. And that's one of our things that we want to make it a point to be more interactive with the crowd. I mean, to go out and talk to people, to introduce ourselves.
Right.
If we have time, which, we'll usually find time. Maybe one of us will come out and the other one will stay back,
And for those of you who joined us on time and saw that we started late, was Jimmy. Watching Jimmy try to walk through a crowd here is really, it's like hanging out with him. It's like, oh, hi, how you doing? He stops and talks. But we eventually got it done. That's what we're going to talk about for right now. We're going to take questions from the crowd here. And are there any questions from over there? Maybe they all got tired and went home. But does anybody here have questions for Jimmy about his process, about his beer, or for me about the book? Because I'd be happy to talk about it.
Well, first of all, Jimmy,
yes.
Where did you get your training?
I was a home brewer for almost 10 years. I had back home in North Carolina, even down there, before I was really into this thing, I had gone in and volunteered just because there was Weeping Radish Brewery on the Outer Banks of North Carolina where I'm from, which was there were no other breweries around. So I just wanted to see what it was like. And so I went and, volunteered with them. Some of the folks up here, once I got into it, with Evo and some other people, I went in, sweep floors, whatever I had to do to be around it. And then a lot of reading. I mean, brewing every weekend, for the past 9-10 years, 10, 20 gallons, whatever we could do. And then just reading a whole lot. Yeah, that's the big thing. So, and I hope to eventually get the schooling. Now, I do believe that obviously you learn more there. It's amazing what you could learn with a formal education in brewing. But I think on-the-job learning, you can't underestimate that. It's been huge. I've been here 7 months, and where I started to what I know now, it's incredible. But still, the thing is, there's so much to learn every single day. I mean, every day here, it's never boring. Put it that way. I mean, you're always learning. So yeah.
Well, I know that Tony doesn't even like beer, so I gotta wonder why he chose this particular topic to do a book on. So maybe he could explain a little background there.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. Thank you for the softball, sir. Actually, I'll throw a little trivia out there. The Weeping Radish was the place where little Brian from Burley got fired before he came to work here before he went to Costa Rica and then came here. So the Weeping Radish has been providing us brewers for, I guess, about a decade now.
Yeah, and
at least 2 brewers.
And
One
it was
every 5
the
years.
first microbrewery in North Carolina, and Uli, who's the owner of it, he single-handedly came over from Germany and single-handedly, went to the state, government and got them to change, because you could not microbrew in North Carolina. You couldn't homebrew. And so he went there and got them to change these laws. So he is, you look at Asheville and those areas that are so big in the brewing now, and he's really the reason that's all there. So
what's funny about him is he didn't know you needed a license to brew.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I make beer. I'm German. What's the problem? But anyway, so I was writing a book about Brian Brushmiller and Burley Oak, and I was trying to get that book sold, and it's still for sale if anybody wants to, if there are any publishers watching. But anyway, and during the process of that, they said, well, that's the kind of book that we want to publish, but we'd love to publish a book on Eastern Shore beer. What do you think? And I said, yeah, why not? And so I got it done. It took about 2 months. Still ironing out some of the kinks. The kinks are kind of making themselves known, as you guys are. I'm like the poor. I'm like the destitute man's Bill Gates. I put out the first release, and then everybody tells me the bugs, and then I fix the bugs, and I put out a second. And so.
One of the books that you brought here tonight are first edition books.
These are first edition, and there are corrections to be made.
With all the bugs, that's okay. But it's first edition. It's the valuable one. Those of us who know books know the first edition is the one.
Absolutely, because it's like, I think you were telling me, it's like the Lincoln penny, right? The misstruck Lincoln penny. So get your hands on the first edition while you can before I go ahead and fix all those mistakes. Yes.
We do everything we can locally. Our grain we can't, unfortunately. It's just we need too much. Like I know Burley Oak, I believe, uses a local farmer, but we haven't gotten to that point yet. But for our small batches, we'll use local hops. I grow my own. Eric grows his own, but we have some guys that come in and sell them to us, and we'll use their hops. Local honey from a beekeeper. For our apple ale, we're using a local cider from one of the places. So yeah, we want to do. I mean, all our produce in the restaurant is grown locally. So yeah, you have to. I mean, that's one of the things that's so great about this industry is the support that they give to the local community. So yeah, we want to continue that as much as possible.
And if I can help on the local malt thing, the problem with getting local grains is it has to be malted. And that is the oldest problem in Maryland beer history. The very first guy who did a production brewery in the 1700s, pre-revolution, and during the revolution, couldn't get. He got a guy to get malt for him, but he couldn't get maltsters to come and work here because the demand wasn't high enough. So even though Brian is growing and Brooks are growing the grain, they're still working on a way to see if they can get it malted, because malting grain is kind of like roasting coffee or
yeah, absolutely.
It's a skill. Yeah. It's not you just take it off, you throw it in the oven for an hour, and then you have beer.
Yeah.
And so getting that kind of skilled labor to work on that kind of massive scale makes it complicated. So we've got a little bit of time, I think, before. I mean, someone with money and courage, or money or courage, could open a maltster here and
no, yeah, that'd be great.
And I always thought that if I won the lottery and they didn't put a park there, I would turn that Tyson plant into a regional maltster, and I think I could do very well.
And that's one of those. It's I think one of the things in this industry that is kind of lagged behind, I guess. I mean, I don't know all the detail that goes into it. Obviously, it's very complicated. But I do know that I have a friend in South Carolina that said they have 2 or 3 starting in South Carolina now.
Yeah.
And there's a few in North Carolina near Asheville.
Yes.
That are now opening up. So it is coming closer. I mean, for a while there's so many in the country, and that was it. But now people are I mean, this isn't going away. This isn't a fad. The bubble's not going to burst, and everyone disappears this time. So I don't think it'll be too long.
If anyone would like to hear my opinion on the bubble and how it's going to burst, you can check that out on WAMU tomorrow at noon on Coastal Connection with Brian Russo. No relation. Thanks so much, folks. Any other questions? Any questions on the internet yet? Well, thank you so much for your patience and your time. And thanks for coming out. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Salute. Eyes? What? We're doing video right now.